Hey, Shalom, Cap. This is Troy Smith from Middletown, Delaware.
What's going on, brother? You got a question or comment?
Yeah, I got a question. You had done a video a while ago on the just talking about the history of the tribes, and you pulled a really good source. I just can't remember um what exactly. It was a good point. You were talking about the KHAZARS, and it was basically when people try to debunk that the KHAZARS existed or that they came from the so-called Jewish man's ancestry. But it's crazy because I remember the source. It was like the volume 6 of the Jewish Encyclopedia. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was volume 4.
Volume 4.
Yeah, it was actually from 1904, and it was
Okay.
volume 4 of the Jewish Encyclopedia, and it spells Khazars CH instead of with a K.
Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and you said what was the because you wasn't a letter that was written or something like that?
Yeah, so there's something called the Khazarian correspondence. The Khazarian correspondence is a letter, and this is what always blows my mind is anytime I talk to, what I'm saying, one of the small hats, what they
I like that name.
I do too. What they always say is something along the lines of, "Oh, that's been debunked." And then when I bring
Yeah.
up the Khazarian correspondence, they say, "Oh, there was a conversion, but it wasn't as many." Well, a moment ago you said it was debunked. Now that I'm bringing up the Khazar, so you knew about the Khazarian correspondence. So what else are you lying about?
Right.
So and just for anybody listening, and yourself included,
There's something in history I'm gonna want you to speak about after this.
the Khazarian correspondence is a correspondence letter between the converted Khazarian king who received correspondence from the Sephardic Jews of Spain, who heard about this quote unquote Jewish community that popped up out of nowhere. And so he was like, "Who are you? Where did you guys come from?" So they then go on to explain how they're living in Japhetic lands. They were under the tutelage of the Turks for a time. And then prior to that, they came from Mount Seir. And the only people we know who lived in Mount Seir was the Edomites. They lived inside of those mountains. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you also have what people call the Nabateans, but the Nabateans are just another name for the Israelites who were there. People try to lie and say that they were Arabs, but that's just not true. So they migrated from Mount Seir, you understand, up north when under the Turks basically civilized them. And then they went into lands, Japhetic lands, and assumed those names, and then over time converted to this religion they created known as Judaism, which was a mixture of, you know what I'm saying, how they interpreted the Torah mixed in with their own form of shamanism. And then that's how you get the modern version of the Talmud, because the Talmud that breaks the actual Torah is because those are the portions of their culture that they still wanted to keep but couldn't according to the law of Moses, which is why they put the Talmud above the law of Moses.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, now it's bringing back my memory. That was a great source because every time I hear somebody say that Khazarian, that's been debunked, they never give a source. They never, say how it's been debunked. So I always get confused, like, well, how are you gonna say it if you don't have a source to back it up?
What they
When you
try
go,
to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just what they try to debunk is Arthur Koestler, because they think that that's the only book that we read. But you have chosen people from the Caucasus, Michael Bradley. You have a history of the Jews in Poland, another 5 to 6 volumes. You have Outline of World History, volumes 1 and 2. There's so many sources that are buried concerning the Khazarian Empire. It's impossible for them to bury it. So they have to lie, say it was debunked. And then from there, once you start bringing up a primary source like the Khazarian correspondence, then they have to switch the narrative. That is a primary source written between the two, a historical document that nobody can debunk.
Right, and it's in their encyclopedia. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, that cleared a lot of things up for me, Captain Kaza. I appreciate it.
Hey, no sweat, brother.
All right, shalom.
Shalom, Sharita.